In today's MLB recap, we have to talk about the Yankees making a move that made their fan base really happy, where on the flip side, the Orioles made another move in free agency that is having their fan base kind of scratch their heads and think to themselves, couldn't we have given this money to Anthony Santander? So we'll talk about that. And after that, I do want to get serious and talk about a big issue in Major League Baseball. It seems like veteran players, they just don't get the respect or money that they deserve. An example, Brandon Belt. Some of you are like, oh wait, yeah, where did Brandon Belt go? He was raking 2 years ago and he hasn't been in baseball since. So again, we'll discuss all of that and more in today's recap. And if you're brand new to the channel, we do this almost every single day. So if you want to stay up to date, hit that subscribe button. And also don't forget that recap is brought to you by SeatGeek and Underdog Fantasy. Use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek to save 20 bucks off all your tickets. And if you're brand new to Underdog Fantasy, all you got to do is download it to your phone from the App Store, use code Fuzzy, and you get a free pick'em on me. Really small and quick update to begin today's recap. Ryan Brasier has officially been traded by the Dodgers to the Chicago Cubs. And by the way, by the time that this video comes out, Alex Bregman could be a Cub, so stay tuned for that because it could happen. But yes, the recently DFA'd 37-year-old, I did not know that Ryan Brasier was approaching 37, 38 years old. We know that he was DFA'd after putting up a 1.89 ERA with the Dodgers in like 60 innings in his Dodgers career. And in one offseason, the Cubs have brought in Ryan Presley via a trade with the Astros. They picked up another old guy, Caleb Thielbar, who has been really good throughout his career but regressed in 2024, and kind of the same thing with Ryan Brasier. He was decent last year with the 3.6 ERA. I know it's narrative ball to say he had a 1.89 ERA, but that's dating back to 2023 when he first joined the Dodgers. But imagine if the Cubs actually get Alex Bregman and they can say they've had a Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, Presley, Thielbar, and Brasier offseason. That's pretty dang solid. And I think they also picked up Colin Ray, maybe someone else I'm forgetting, but the Cubs, if they can get Bregman, I like their offseason a lot. We'll talk about the Yankees update before the Baltimore Orioles update. Tim Hill, the fan favorite, the lefty side armor, he is going back to the Yankees on a one-year deal worth $2.85 million. And if you're not familiar with Tim Hill's game, he was pretty good with the Padres. He goes to the White Sox and he started off as the worst reliever in Major League Baseball last year. He goes to the Yankees and was an instant maniac. He had a 2.05 ERA in 44 innings, again after having a near 6 ERA with the White Sox. He was a playoff demon as well. In 10 postseason games, he allowed 1 earned run. So yeah, this is going to make Yankees fans very happy. They wanted Tim Hill back because if it wasn't the Yankees, he might have gone to the Mets. And let's face it, the Yankees, they were not going to get beat again by the Mets. We're going to go from one move that is making a fan base very happy to another AL East team and a fan base that just made a move that is making fans say, what are we doing? Ramon Laureano, yes, the 30-year-old former Brave, Guardian, A's outfielder who once got popped for PEDs. He's joining the Orioles on a $4 million deal, and a lot of Orioles fans are saying, why did we just give Ramon Laureano $4 million on top of giving Tyler O'Neill $16.5 million? That's over $20 million. We could have just given that money to Anthony Santander, a guy that we plucked in the Rule 5 draft pick. He's become a fan favorite. He just had the most home runs by a switch hitter since Lance Berkman. Maybe I'm not being fair because Ramon Laureano did go crazy last year after being dropped by the Guardians. He goes to the Braves, and check this out. In 215 at-bats with the Braves, he almost hit 300 with 10 home runs and a near 130 OPS plus. He also crushes lefties, and he's been crushing lefties. So this is simply a depth play where just in case Tyler O'Neill needs a day off, Ramon can step in, or because he crushes lefties, maybe they give a day off to Cedric Mullins or Colton Cowser because both of those guys really stink it up versus lefties. They're not good at all versus southpaws. Tyler O'Neill is coming off a 31 home run campaign with a 132 OPS plus, and a lot of scouts across the game of baseball believe that Tyler can get that athleticism back because if you don't remember, Tyler O'Neill used to be one of the better defenders and one of the faster outfielders in baseball. But of course, injuries have stolen a lot of that athleticism. Maybe that comes back in 2025, and Ramon is just going to be a kind of revolving platoon guy to give certain guys days off. Maybe it's as simple as that. But again, for $20+ million, I think I would have rather just had Anthony Santander. Am I being dramatic? Am I being too critical on the Orioles? Let me know in the comments down below, and especially if you're an Orioles fan, what do you make of these moves? We have some breaking news. This came out as I was editing, so that's why I'm not wearing a Twins hat, but Harrison Bader is going to Minnesota to basically be a Ramon Laureano type of player. He's going to be a fourth outfielder. The bat is not going to be as good as Ramon Laureano, but like Ramon Harrison, he is still pretty good against lefties, and the difference is he's still a generational defender. Harrison Bader plays some of the best outfield defense we've seen in quite some time, so he's going to be a guy that gives Byron Buxton a day off or two, and they'll be just fine defensively with maybe the occasional home run or double in the gap. Harrison Bader, he's aight. Not a bad move. But wow, I'm looking at it. The Twins have had a terrible, awful, no good offseason. This is their first big league contract to a hitter. What are the Twins doing? I almost forgot to talk about this, but another small update. Randal Grichuk, he is going back to the Diamondbacks. He just got re-signed for $5 million. And last year, Randal hit .320 versus lefties with an insane 160 OPS plus against those same lefties. And that's kind of been Randal's MO, a platoon guy who rakes against lefties, who's not very good against righties. But last year, despite the batting average not being very good against righties, he still somehow slugged a near .530. He had some power versus righties. And I was doing some research. Did you know that Randal Grichuk is one of 18 hitters in Major League Baseball to have 240 plus doubles and 200 home runs since 2015? That's some pretty elite company. Randal, he's a perfect fit for the Diamondbacks. I like that re-signing. Now, without further ado, let's talk about Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso, and the veterans in Major League Baseball that could be getting squeezed by all 30 teams, and no one's really talking about it because it's an issue that's kind of been swept under the rug over the last decade. A lot of people have been saying that Major League Baseball needs to come out with a free agent deadline because teams, they're smart. They would rather wait out a Bregman or an Alonso or Adam Lind or Brandon Belt or Grady Sizemore, older guys or veterans who are coming off pretty good campaigns or had a really good 2 or 3 years before becoming a free agent, but because they're old, the teams, again, they're going to wait them out and squeeze them until they just have to accept a lower AAV and a lesser contract. Do you think that that would help fix free agency and the fact that Bregman and Alonso are still out there searching for a team, or dating back to 2017 when Adam Lind, as a 33-year-old, hit .303 with a 122 OPS plus? But again, because he was a little bit older, in 2018, the very next season, he did not get a single big league offer. And the same thing happened to Brandon Belt a few years ago. In 2023, yeah, he was 35 years old, but Brandon popped off for 19 home runs and a 151 OPS plus. Brandon Belt, yes, he's had some back concerns, but they used those back concerns as a reason to not sign him. He hasn't been in baseball since, even though he absolutely raked. Same thing with Grady Sizemore. These teams, they don't prioritize veteran players who are coming off bounce back years because they can give 1/10 of that money to a young kid and maybe get 40 or 50% of the production. And they're cool with having 4 or 5 of those guys as opposed to one older Grady Sizemore, one older Adam Lind. And a lot of fans are saying that, hey, if we had a free agency deadline, maybe veterans like Bregman, Alonso, Lind, Belt, Sizemore, they wouldn't be squeezed for every dime and just waited out until they either could not join a team, it was way too late, or they simply had to accept that, hey, we just got squeezed, I can't do anything about it, I want to play baseball, I gotta accept lesser dollars even though I raked. On paper, a salary cap and a free agency deadline, they both sound really good, but in theory, it's just like these teams are businesses. At the end of the day, yes, they're our favorite teams and they are home to some of our favorite memories, but they're trying to make as much money as possible. Their ROI, return on investment, has to be there. And if that means waiting until late February to offer Bregman, Alonso, a Yoan Moncada bottom of the barrel dollars, they're going to do it. Otherwise, they'll just move on and sign a young guy for $750,000. So that does it for today's recap. I want you guys to let me know in the comments down below. Do you think that a free agency deadline would help the game of baseball, or do you think that teams are smart and they're using time as an advantage? All I know is after 2026, when the CBA expires and we have to renegotiate all over again, we could have another stoppage. It could happen.